Hey, what's going on, guys? This is a EDH deck that's equal to or less than $100 in cost for the 99 in the commander. And this deck is Wort the Raidmother. It's a 4 and 2 hybrid green-red mana for a 3/3 creature. That, when it ETBs, gives you two 1/1 creatures, and it also gives each of your red or green instant or sorcery spells that you cast Conspire. And Conspire means that when you cast them, you can tap two untapped creatures you control, and as long as they share a color with the spell cast, you can copy the spell and choose new targets for the copy. This deck has been curated for Zachary Mann. The first part about this deck is the ramp, and we use 10 classic, very common ramp spells because we're trying to ramp out early. We have Rampant Growth and Farseek. Great when copied, but also just good on their own. Cryptothrite and Ashnod's Altar give us some nice utility ramp because we are running very heavy on the creatures, especially the tokens anyways. And then, of course, Soul Ring and Gruul Signet because it's a Gruul deck and it's Soul Ring. Next up, we have Kadama's Reach, Harvest Season, Cultivate, and Nature's Lore, all classic spells, but in this case, the Harvest Season is really good in this deck because we have a lot of creatures, and then the classic Kadama and Cultivate. Next up, we have our draw suite, so give us some card advantage. The great part about Cathartic Reunion and Tormenting Voice here is that the additional cost to discard a card does not apply on the copies of these spells if you do copy them, so they do provide some advantage. And if they just are cast regularly, it helps us get through our deck faster. There's just good utility draw. And then we have Rishkar's Expertise. This has been one of my favorite card draw spells lately, as well as some classic green card draw spells. Creators Council I included in the card draw category because we're going to be going through a lot of cards, and sometimes we have a need for maximum hand size, but usually we just count this as getting cards from our graveyard, which is an advantage. And Skull Clamp because tokens, so it's Skull Clamp. Even though we don't run very heavy on creatures, Nakar, Resurgent, and Lightcrafters Bestiary were good enough to help us filter through and ramp, so they're included in the draw suite. Next up, we have the removal. Now, removal is two-part in this deck because most of the removal spells are also burn spells, so good utility there. Beast Within, could be used to get us another token and copy it up, but I would just, recommend copying it up on a permanent that someone else controls. Blasphemous Act is easy to fire off for 1 mana. Crowsome Grip for those troublesome artifact and enchantments that let people go infinite, and then Release the Gremlins, also giving us tokens for Conspire. Speaking of Conspire, next up we have Conspire, and these spells are all the spells that give us all the tokens that we need to tap down to copy spells. Hornet Queen is just a super flavorful card. I'm glad I found a place for that in the deck. Devour on my Koloth is very nice to be able to get those 1/1 green Saffronlings pumping out, and then of course a mana Sink and Ant Queen is also nice, and of course I'm not going to run a token deck without Kranko Mob Boss. If you knew me, you would know that. Next up we have utility, so just in case our commander's not out, we have Primal Amulet to make stuff cost less, and then once we flip it over, which is really easy to do in this deck, We have Primal Wellspring, which lets us copy stuff. Pyromancer's Goggles, also letting us copy stuff, and then tapping out for Conspire is great to be able to have Paradox Engine to untap those things once we do cast the spell. And just some haste and some protection for our commander. Next up, we have the way that we're going to win, and in this deck we're looking to win with just card advantage and copying powerful spells, but also just in case we need it. Our plan in the end is to trample over for some damage with our wide board spread of creatures. Hopefully they're pumped up by Beastmaster Ascension. We got a little constant threat in Throne of the God Pharaoh if we get it out. Treacherous Terrain if we just need to close things out in the really late game. Goblin Bombardment for face and board clearing. Garrett Wildspeaker I like a lot because getting that trample +3/+3 is not difficult to do multiple times in a game. Preferos because it's Preferos, and Impact Tremors because it's Impact Tremors, and essentially in this deck, Gutter Snipe is about the same as both of those. And that's Wort the Raidmother. This deck can be purchased on TCG Player for, if you have a $100 budget, you can get it for $90 in one cart and leave yourself about $10 there for your own personal upgrades to the mana base or different cards that you like that were a little bit more expensive for consideration in this deck. And if you don't care how many packages your cards come in, you can get it for $80, and with a $100 budget, you can leave yourself $20 for upgrades. The mana base is included in the deck list, as well as the 99 in the commander at MTG Goldfish, deck number 831848. And the mana base runs very budget-friendly dual lands, as well as mountains and forest. The deck runs a little heavy on green, so there is a little bit of a priority for the forest. So, I hope you enjoy this deck. It looks like a lot of fun, and we'll see you next time.